again, open shit.
That one's on. That one's on. Malfunction! Malfunction!
Flag down, flag down!
What's up, Speedway memes? We're down here for the second episode of Memeing Around, and we're down here with Kyle Sanders. Kyle, give us just a quick little overview of yourself, real quick.
My name's Kyle. I drive the 0K Outlaw kart, and I just completed my very first season in racing.
Now, this is your first season getting behind the wheel, getting dirty, and having a bit of a run. But what were you doing beforehand? Because, as far as I know from conversations with you throughout the pits and even earlier today, before the Outlaw kart, you didn't do any racing at all.
Nah, I was pretty much raised playing football, so that's pretty much all I've known. And then supporting and watching Speedway from the sidelines. My parents never really wanted me to go the racing side of things because money. So football was always the option. So before now, I've been pretty much playing, coaching, and running football clubs.
All right, and you very recently got into it. How did you find out about the Outlaw karts first and foremost?
Well, it was, I'd say, maybe last year at the Big Boys Toys Show. I was down there looking at jet boats, of all things, and happened upon Brooke Newson's Outlaw kart while she was out there advertising her business and her sprint car. And yeah, I just had a look at it, thought, hey, that's pretty nifty, and go check it out. And a couple of Outlaw kart meetings later, and decided I'd buy one.
All right, now, you said that you didn't really come from money, so what do you do with your daily life that allows you to be able to afford to come racing?
I'm a bricklayer by trade, and thanks to COVID, pretty much a big influx of money, I guess you could say, and not really spending any of it. So I thought, you know what, let's do something crazy and buy a race car.
All right, now you said that you've been a supporter of Speedway for a little bit now. When did you first really start getting out to go watch some racing?
Oh, geez, I think I'd say 2010. I reckon would have been when the first obsession, I guess you could say, started. Back watching the World Series Sprint Cars 2010, 2011. Big fan of Robbie Farr at that point, and yeah, from there it's just been almost every event I've been there watching from turn one pretty much, and yeah, just enjoying watching and some good racing.
All right, now let's talk about your Outlaw kart here for a second. Where did you buy it from? What's its make? What the engine and all that? Just tell us about it.
Well, I bought this one brand new from RPM. It's a QRC kart brought straight over from America. And then in terms of a motor, I bought it second hand off one of the guys that was running a few years ago. Nice Yamaha 450. So put it together like that, and it's just sort of learn as you go, put it together myself, and here we are.
Now, it wasn't all on your own. You did have a little bit of help throughout the season. Most notably, you gained a little bit of a friendship there with Matty O'Brien. What was that like, just getting in amongst, just being around in the pits and, trying to work on stuff and, having other people coming in and giving you some help?
Yeah, well, the support has been great. Like, I came into this, my parents and family, they knew nothing about racing or cars or motors for that matter. So coming into this, it was always going to be myself and learning as I go. And pretty much from day one, just talking to people, say Trevor and Paul Pete, and of course after I had my crash round one, Matty O'Brien, he came up and had a chat to me and just sort of told me the lay of the land, I guess you could say, that crashing comes with racing, and from there it sort of grown. I guess you chat to somebody here or there, just a little bit of a tip or hints on what to do with the car, and just the support in racing has been phenomenal, especially for me who's got no sort of networking coming into it. Now it's like you go to the racing wherever you go and it's like, hey, I know these people, and it's just become such a tight-knit group and a big network of people that have just come and help whenever, really.
Alright, now with this being your first season, obviously you never really raced the car in anger beforehand. So what was it like getting out there for your very first time on track? Of course, the outlaw carts at Pinjar have that, you got to start at the back for at least 3 race meetings. So what was it like just coming to terms with driving the car around the track?
Yeah, well, it was a big mental game sort of thing. So going out there, I knew that I wasn't going to have the pace or whatever. So starting out the back, it was like, all right, I'll do my own thing, try and learn. Because I did do a practice day before the start of the season, and I sort of knew where I was compared to everybody else. So going out there night one with everybody else around me, the last thing I wanted to do was get in other people's way. So I'm there in my head going, right, what can I do to not affect anyone else, sort of thing. So that was just going through my head, and you worry a lot, sort of thing. Yeah.
Alright, now we came during what was at the end of the day a pretty exciting season, even with the chance to run on the motorcycle track at the Motorplex. What was it like going from driving around the little Pinjar Park Raceway and trying to readjust your driving style for what is a considerably much bigger track?
Yeah, well, going to the Motorplex was always a big event, I guess you could say. In the back of my head, it's like I've been there to watch races so many times, so to go out there, it's like, wow, it's so, like, to be there, it's amazing. And then you've got to go, oh, right, helmet's on, let's go out and go do a job. But I think the Motorplex was really a turning point in my season. I kind of got used to the kart and running it at speeds, while at Pinjar, it's like you're on, off, tight corners, and then so you're sort of trying to find where you are and where the kart is. But then at the Motorplex, you're hitting the accelerator a lot of the time and you're trying to reach maximum speeds. And I think that just helped getting me used to going so fast, I guess. And going back to Pinjar, I guess I could gauge more on where my speed was in my kart compared to everybody else's.
Alright, now let's just look at your season as a whole. It wasn't a bad first season for yourself. There were plenty of mistakes made, of course, throughout the season with a couple of spins here and there, but you really seemed to learn from it towards the end of the season.
Yeah, at the start of the season, I probably racked up more spins than everybody else, because I think it was you that told me, don't be a hero, sort of thing. So whenever there was a crash, it was like hit the brakes, try to avoid it, and yeah, spinning. But yes, overall the season wasn't too bad. I think I tried to not think too much about points and stuff, because overall it's your first season, no point thinking about that, just focus on my own sort of progression and learning curve, I guess you could say. And yeah, definitely picked up on areas where I need to work on, especially with my driving. And yeah, so learning to place the car better is definitely a skill that I picked up throughout the season, and I was avoiding a few of other drivers' crashes, and just being able to drive around them has been so much easier, and being able to predict things. So yeah, definitely learning a whole heap of stuff throughout the season has been probably the main takeaway for this season. Yeah, and overall it was just really good, and to finish within the top 10 in points by the end of the season was really good. And to be not too far behind in points, I think we're only like 200 points away from the top runners was pretty good considering sort of where we were to start the season, I guess.
Well, yeah, it definitely helps when you just set consistent. Consistency really does pay off a lot, especially when you're just there showing up and just giving it your best shot, wouldn't you reckon?
Yeah. So when you turn it up, the main thing you focus on is just finishing races and stuff like that, and just trying to build off that. I think so. The first feature night that we finished, I think we finished 3 laps down or something, and then throughout the season it was always sort of, all right, let's make sure we're finishing races, but then let's try and peg back some of these laps, and that's sort of where my head was at for most of the season, and we got there eventually. I think we may have finished one feature where we were on the final lap sort of thing, and but yeah, so that was sort of where.
All right, well, let's start looking towards the future now.
Yeah.
All right, now, I follow your Facebook page, Sanders Motorsports.
Yeah, definitely.
And, a couple of big things on the horizon. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you got planned for the future?
Yeah, so, coming to the end of the season, we're sort of, I had a bit more money left over and decided, let's try and expand this, let's go bigger, because why not? And so I was sort of looking around at other cars and other divisions and stuff that I can progress my driving and hopefully do a little more travelling as well with other speedways and stuff. Eventually I got talking to Matt and we decided, we're going to go sprint car racing. So we bought a sprint car. At the moment we're building it, getting ready for hopefully running the V8 non-wings over winter, and then during summer we'll run the LS1s at the Motorplex, and then I hear they're doing a couple other events over summer as well, following with the Pro Mod. So what we'll do is we'll follow the V8 non-wing sprints and the LS1 sprint cars.
Alright, and you decided that you're going to be also taking a bit of a step back from the driving role and focusing a little bit more on being a team owner with Maddie behind the wheel for you.
Yeah, so with the sprint car schedule that we want to run, it seems fairly packed, I guess, doing non-wing stuff and then sprint car stuff every alternating week. So didn't really think there'd be much time to worry about the Outlaw as well. So that was put on a sort of a backbench role. But then we went down to Bunbury over the June period and went down to watch the Winter Nationals down there. And one of the guys who wants to run Outlaw karts in the future, he offered us up a trade, his sprint car for our Outlaw, and that deal is going to get done, and we're now going to run 2 sprint cars into the future. Whether or not that's Matt and somebody else or Matt and me, that's sort of up in the air, but at the moment I'm happy just letting Matt drive, and I can sort of sit back, I can own the team and pretty much just learn sprint cars and learn Speedway. And I'm definitely happy with that, just learning the stuff behind the scenes, I guess, and what makes things run, I guess.
Alright, so obviously everyone's going to have some goals in mind. So what is your goals for the first season of sprint car racing going to be?
Oh, I think it's hard to tell because we don't exactly know where the car is and what we're going to do. So in a way, it's kind of like what we were expecting with the Outlaw card at the start of this season. You sort of go, you learn where you are, where you're standing. So first of all, you learn the car, you learn what you can do, and once you've figured out what the car's going to do, then you look at the guys around you and say, all right, we can pick off a couple extra places here or there. If we could somehow end up with a podium by the end of the first season, that'd be brilliant. Tick that off our bucket list, I guess, and really that's about as much as I sort of hope to get out of the first season anyway.
All right, now we've been joined by Mr. Matty O'Brien. Matty, so you're going to be driving for Kyle in the upcoming season in the sprint car, doing both winged and non-wing racing. I can see the Cheshire grin from here, mate. Tell me, how excited are you?
It's, to be honest, mate, it's hard for me to put into words. You and I had a conversation in January this year, so about 6 months ago, and I think you could probably tell from that interview when we spoke how sort of how passionate and almost desperate I was to get myself into a position where I could race in a higher category of Speedway. It's been a lifelong sort of ambition and dream of mine, and 33 years later, here we are. So I'm bursting with excitement. I can barely contain myself, but I'm just obviously trying to keep a lid on it because there's a lot of hard work to be done before we get there. But we're getting forever closer with each week that passes, and it's starting to bubble pretty. The fire's burning pretty good in my belly now.
Yeah, well, we were just test fitting the seat in the car before, and you just getting into it and trying to just get little bits done in the pre-season here. So with half a car here, effectively speaking, and hopefully one ready to race on the way, what are your goals and ambitions for the season coming up?
I mean, I've always had high expectations of myself when it comes to, especially when it comes to racing, because it's something that I've been around my entire life. So I always expect to be very, very competitive. But I also understand, from a reality point of view, that it's a new game. It's a big car. Even though it's only the LS motor, it's still going to be a big learning curve. Just lucky that I think that I've got obviously the 30 odd years of experience of sort of just indulging myself in Speedway on a daily basis, to where I can hopefully sort of shortcut a lot of that sort of learning curve. And for the first season, I think Kyle alluded to it before. I'd really like to try and pick up a couple of podium finishes throughout the season, just more so to sort of, I guess, repay him for the opportunity that he's giving me. It's a massive thing for someone to, outlay the money and buy themselves a full-size race car like this, and then to have the gumption to let someone else jump in it and drive his new baby takes big guts, I think, to do that. So I'll be forever grateful for the opportunity that he's given me, and that the best way I can think of paying him back for that opportunity would be to give him the opportunity to come and celebrate on the infield and spray some champagne. So,
all right, now we heard from Kyle. He's so willing to learn from you in the upcoming season about helping to set up a big car. You've got a little bit of experience, obviously, crewing for Jack Williamson a little bit. So what do you think it's going to be like having Kyle as the team leader, so to speak, and helping him to just learn this side of the sport?
I'm really looking forward to it, actually. I've only got really sort of limited experience working on the sprint cars. My whole sort of childhood was spent around speed cars, so the things with wings were never really prevalent in my life, even though I enjoyed watching them. I never really got a chance to work on them too much, but obviously working on Jack Williamson's 410 for the last couple of seasons has given me some great exposure to obviously the intricacies of the sprint car, and I think Kyle's in a great position where he's willing to learn. He wants to really learn, and I think between me working on the 24 and then also us being able to work together on our cars or on his cars, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to the challenge. We're both going to be sort of learning at the same time. There's a lot of, I guess, just general Speedway knowledge and experience, I guess, that I can bring to the team. I feel that I can communicate with him really well on what I need what I need from the car. I'm really just looking forward to getting stuck into it, and I have a feeling that we're gonna have a lot of support in the pits. My younger brother's obviously gonna be definitely heavily involved, and my dad being a speed car driver from back in the day, even though it's not sprint cars, he still has a wealth of knowledge and has been around the game for a long time. So we'll sort of suck all the information out of everyone that we know has got the wealth of experience, and hopefully that will sort of help us get the car pretty close to sort of the window that we need to be fairly quickly. And then it's just a matter of sort of tinkering from there to sort of, I guess, make the car suit what I want it to do with my driving style.
Now, Kyle, are you a little bit worried about having Matty in your car? Because the season hasn't exactly been the best for Matty. As described in the interview that I did with Matt, he had a fairly shocking start to the season. Not by his own fault, just being an unfortunate victim of circumstance.
Yeah, well, it's funny being at the back of the pack. I can see all of it happen right in front of me. But yeah, so that I wouldn't say it really took into consideration all that's happened. Like, I know that he's got the pace and stuff. He's just caught up in a bit of bad luck, I guess you could say. But through all of that, he keeps his outlook on everything really positive, and that's probably our biggest advantage, the fact that we kind of think alike and we're not one to put like our egos ahead of anything. So the fact that I've got a driver that thinks and behaves kind of like what I do is going to work, I reckon, in our favour. And like you've touched on before, Matt's got the experience, he's got the speed, he's got the knowledge really, that can not just help us push this team forward, but in the future can help me learn so much for potentially future drivers and myself included. So yeah.
All right. Now, Matt, are you going to be bringing any of your sponsors over to help out with the sprint car effort?
Yeah, absolutely. I've approached them, and obviously, they're very well aware of what my plans or what our plans were for, the upcoming sort of 12, 18, 24 months. I've definitely obviously got, only a couple of really, quite small family-owned, WA-based businesses that I'm super excited and happy to have on my outlaw currently, which is A Steel Powder Coaters, South Street Pet Supplies, Polylink Piping Systems, and Delights of Siberia. So the conversations I've had with those guys, they're sort of more than willing to come on board and come across to the sprint car team and just try and help us out in any way any small way they can. A game like this, every little bit counts. We would obviously love for all of them, all of those four companies to come across and support us, which I think that I'm confident that they're happy to do. So, I'll bring them, and obviously got the new seat and a pour-in mount. So we're going to be safe as houses inside the car, which is good. I know the wife's pretty pleased about that. It's probably the only time she's not giving me a little bit of a sideways look when I'm saying I'm going to go spend some money on race car stuff. When she found out that it was safety stuff, she just sort of smiled and nodded politely, and I was free to go. So,
I mean, safety is a big thing. When I rocked up here, we were sizing up that gravel bar to put onto this chassis. I'm going to ask this to both of you. Just open up the floor. What do you reckon the safety has been like in sprint car racing? Of course, this season there's been a lot of big injuries at the Motorplex in particular, and by no means is it naturally a sprint car problem itself. It's just a nature of the game of racing, so it's just all about trying to make the cars as safe as possible.
Yeah. All right. Crashes nowadays, you always see more and more noticeable injuries just popping up online and stuff, which kind of worries me a bit. But I guess in saying that, it means more and more safety features will be coming in. And safety, it's the one thing you can't sort of half-ask. You've got to treat it seriously, because if I'm putting somebody else in my car, or it's like, if it's me, I accept the risks or whatever. But if I'm putting someone else in there, I've got to make sure that they're okay, because they've got families, they've got other people that rely on them, and so I've got to make sure that he's okay if he ever crashes or whatever. I've got to make sure that my driver's safe.
And Matt, as someone who did get injured throughout this season with the elbow knock at the Motorplex, what's your view on it all?
Yeah, I'd call it more of a little boo-boo than an injury more than anything. But no, look, I mean, it is extremely important. These cars are going very, very fast. Obviously, we're talking 410 deal, you know, those guys got their tongue hanging out, and they're basically on the ragged edge the whole time. That's so you sort of almost how you got to drive those things to be fast. Us, well, obviously with the LS, we're not going to be carrying the same sort of terminal speed, but we're still going to be going fast enough where if we do have a big crash, the potential for getting hurt is 100% still there. There's no two ways about that. Yeah, I think the introduction of the halo and the gravel bars is probably one of the biggest steps forward that the sport's probably made in a while. Obviously the Hans device, or your head and neck restraint device, prior to that was probably the biggest jump that we made from the old horse collars. Look, I mean, I come from I come from riding sidecars where I've got no belts, I've got no roll cage, I've got no nothing. So, like, I jumped in the outlaw cart the first time and I sort of looked around and I had all this bar work around me and I was like, I'm safe as houses here. Yeah, jumping in the sprint car feels very much the same way. Obviously, you know, I've got a very, very big car, a lot of bar work around me. With the halo and the gravel bars and the brand new seat and the pour-in mould. Look, it's one of those things. I think race car drivers, we kind of accept the fact that the possibility is there, but you never think about it. If you are a person that sort of thinks about that thing and it worries you, then you probably shouldn't be doing it or shouldn't be doing it anymore. Because I think that's almost the first sign of being half in, half out. And this is not a sport where you can be half in, half out. It's 100% commitment. My commitment level is still at that 100% commitment level. I've got absolutely no qualms with getting in the car and putting myself in danger. I accept it. It's part of the deal. It's racing. I've been around it for long enough. I've seen it happen. I've seen some incredible crashes where guys walk away, and I've seen some incidental crashes where people get really, really hurt. So I think it's just it's a luck of the draw thing. It is what it is, but it doesn't play on my mind. I don't think about it, to be honest. Especially with the things like gravel bars and halos, you just puts your mind at ease really, and there's no real second thought, or there's no thought of I can't go hard in this race because I don't want to crash and potentially hurt myself. That never enters your mind.
All right, well, thank you for coming and joining us, Matt, and look forward to seeing what you can do in Giles' car in the upcoming season. Yeah,
I can't wait, mate. Like I said, I'm super excited. I'll be forever thankful for Kyle and the opportunity that he's given me. It probably means more than what a lot of people might think. Yeah, like I said, it's been a lifelong thing for me. So after all this time and all this grinding hard work and blood, sweat and tears, for Kyle to so graciously give me this opportunity is just incredible for me, and I can't thank him enough.
Now, you're also a bit of an eclectic collector. I've caught you several times throughout the season, running around in the Perth Motorplex pits with a bit of wing here or a bit of a fender there.
Yeah.
How big is your collection at the moment, and what do you got and where have you got it?
Oh, well, got a bit here and there and a bit everywhere, so I'd say I've got a fair few pieces. I have sold bits in the past, so it could definitely be bigger, but there's a variation of front wings, top wings, just panels, just a whole heap of random stuff that you look at the Speedway and most people think it's junk, but you go and you go, I was there when that thing happened, it's got a story, so I keep it, and it's a conversation piece when people come around and go, I got this from somewhere, I know who drove it, I know which day it was crashed, and I know the bugger that crashed it for him. So it's been interesting, I guess you could say, to collect things. My dad wasn't a real big fan of it, considered it junk, so as most people would. But yeah, I like collecting them, and it's nice decoration, I guess you could say, for the house.
Well, it goes to the old adage, some people collect spoons, some people collect marbles. It's just another collection at the end of the day. It's just yours is a little bit bigger and a little bit more expensive, right?
Yeah, and doesn't look as good, I guess you could say, but when they're trashed. But definitely having a panel on the side of the wall definitely stands out compared to most people. So yeah.
And as you said, it's also a little bit of history as well, because it's like, exactly what happened to that panel, and exactly who did what, and that's just a little bit of racing history that can be preserved instead of rotting away in some skip somewhere, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, the first piece that I got was so long ago now. I think 2010 or 2011. Robbie Farr going for, I think he'd won the World Series Sprint Cars the year before, and he came back to Perth Motorplex and he trashed it on the back straight, and I got his rear bumper. And it's funny enough, at the end of the night I asked him to try and sign the thing. And he's sitting there trying to turn this thing, trying to figure out how to sign this bit of tubing, and yeah. And funnily enough, the Australian title here in Perth was when I got my last piece, and of course it's a Robbie Farr top wing panel. Of course, different team he's driving with, but it's funny how things go round full circle almost.
So I'm assuming with the step up into sprint cars, getting away from the outlaw kart, the chances of you adding to your collection have dwindled a little bit then.
Well, wouldn't say never, but you're always collecting stuff, and there's still things that I want to sort of tick off and add to the collection. But now, since getting into racing myself, it's like every year now I want to a panel off my top wing, or a team that I run, or the team that I run, get a top wing off that, and just put it up somewhere. Say, yeah, that's a piece of history. So the collection will keep growing, that's for sure. Whether or not somebody trashes it or it's a nice shiny wing, either way, it'll look pretty neat on the wall.
So Kyle, thank you very much for allowing me to come out and just raid your house a little bit here, raid your garage and have a look at everything and touch a few things.
Oh, well, my pleasure. It's always great to have mates out.
And also, thank you very much for putting my logo on your wing for half of the Outlaw Kart season. And hopefully we'll be able to get out and have a look at some of your races, both with the LS1 at the Motorplex and maybe a couple of the non-wing stuff out a little bit, as long as it's not too far away. And, just before we let you go, anyone else you want to give just a quick mention to that's helped you out over the last season and who's going to be helping you out in the future?
Well, yeah, definitely got to give a shout out to my sponsors, EcoClean, Air and Solar. They came on board my first season and really just backed me from the beginning, and yeah, can't thank them enough. Also, Budget Signs for doing most of my stickers. Speedway Memes, obviously, and Kyle Sanders Bricklaying. Yeah, guys, been massive help, just the support. Also, massive shout out for Paul Pete, who pretty much took me under his wing from the practice day, and he's just been a wealth of knowledge and an extra hand that's helped put my kart back together or whatever during the night. Trevor Reynolds, after our big crash in round one, he took a day to help me fix the car right before round two, and yeah, the fact that we were out there that night, big credit to him. He pretty much set my car up right, he fixed it wherever I broke it, and yeah, it was massive thanks to him for all his work that he's done, not just with me but with the club as well. Yeah, also big shout out to all the pretty much everyone at West at the West Coast Outlaw Karts, because even if it's just a hey, how you doing, or a little bit of a tip here and there, they've just made me feel so welcome in the racing community. It's been awesome just being there, and yeah, everyone around me has been absolutely phenomenal.
All right, well, thank you again, Kyle, and we look forward to seeing what you and Matty get up to next season in the sprint car.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm always down for a chat.
All right, awesome. All right, guys, thank you for coming out for episode 2 of Memeing Around with Kyle Sanders here, and make sure you stay tuned, because we're actually in the middle of doing a lot of editing. We've got a lot of highlights videos coming out very soon. Kicking off with, of course, all the Outlaw Karts highlights videos from the season. So keep an eye out on the Facebook page and the YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.